We are back here at Soccer X TV at the Magic City. Guilherme von Cüpper, he's an agent, and he was right around in a panel talking about all these challenges you're facing right now, but also the opportunities we're having here at the Soccer X. How was it?
Really good. I mean, for me, I would say that every time I have the opportunity to speak about football, about agency, about career management, or even the global industry, it's just a privilege. So being in such an amazing event here at Soccer X, I mean, the organization is amazing. So many interesting people from so many different areas as well. So it's such a privilege to be here. Having the industry together, for me, it's always one of the best things we can have in football. So it's really a pleasure.
He's selling this because he's from Portugal, and
Of
in
course.
Portugal, you guys breathe, right?
Yeah.
Football.
We do breed football, so it's interesting because basically your mood on Mondays usually it's coming from what happened in the weekend. So if your team lost, probably on Monday you'll get to the office and no one wants to speak with you because your face is already. No, but we do really breed football, and football is increasing also. Even the business itself in Portugal is increasing a lot. We are now the best selling league in the world. So things are really going into the next level, I would say.
So, talking about this topic specifically, right, comparing the Europe and the U.S. How do you see the difference? And since you come here to this business, what do you see like this things that is like stand out for you? Like, I want to get to the U.S. as well because I see that they're gonna change this game.
I think the thing is, in the US, the potential is huge. I mean, the Americans are known for being amazing in all sports, and I actually always wondered when I was younger and was not working at the football industry, why did the football or soccer was not so recognized, I would say, in the US. And I think actually the leagues, MLS, USL, they are doing an amazing job on bringing sponsors or trying actually to focus on the content creation with all the celebrities, with bringing all the famous players. And I think that this will be the start for them to actually show the world that they can also be a powerhouse in football. Because you go and see all the other leagues like the NBA, the NHL, the NFL, the impact is insane. And I really truly believe that the football in the US can also reach it. And I think they are doing a great job of changing also a little bit the minds of some of the people concerning the sport itself. So I do believe that in the next years we will see US and the MLS as a powerhouse in football, for sure.
It would be earlier to say that would be like the fourth or third league in the U.S. What do you think? Like we're going through this path, through this way?
I would say so. I would say that the top five in Europe are still quite strong, but you even see some decrease already in some of the leagues. You can see, for example, now when there was a negotiation of the TV rights, the centralization. For example, in France, they didn't achieve the numbers that they were expecting. So you see that the leagues that are actually focusing more on the part of the content creation, the media. For example, you go into these events and you always see La Liga, Serie A. So the other leagues need to understand that this is exactly the path. So I would say if the MLS would continue this path of trying to show up, to be present in events like this, to show themselves to the world, definitely more players would want to come here, because it's a really interesting strategy. Because MLS first took players more in the end of their careers, I would say probably to raise the awareness of football to the fans, and now they are changing a little bit and putting a little bit more the focus on the youth development, the focus on actually being able to bring players also, using the clubs in MLS as a platform for even them to continue their careers in Europe and in other places. So I would say that they are following the right path.
And I think like when you're saying that, it comes to me like the turning point was like Inter Miami bringing Messi to the MLS, and you as an agent can tell about how this opportunity saw like your senior players, how they was like, wait a minute, I have a market there, I can go there. Like, of course, you're talking about someone that has this big representative like Messi, he's a role model. Yeah. How do you see that?
Now, I would say that Messi clearly, was a breakthrough here, but it was not the first one. So we had it before with players like Beckham, then with Zlatan. So Messi, of course, it's different from all the other players in the world. Is for many people the best player in the history of football. So what I would say is being able to bring him into the MLS raise an awareness to fans all over the world. So the fans who want to stay awake to see Messi playing, to see Inter Miami, especially because they were able even to combine Messi with Suarez, with Alba, with Busquets. So the crazy football fans that used to love Barcelona, they all want to come here. I think the tonic will be that Messi will not be here forever. So I think this is exactly the time to monetize on Messi being here, to show the world about MLS, about football, and that this can really be a sport that will be recognized for everyone, even here. So if you don't need to, you cannot focus only on the football fans in Europe and all over the world to go and have a look into MLS. You need to also focus on attracting your own fan base here, so they can, for example, if you look into women's football, has always been such a big thing in the US, and now it's the time to use Messi and all the other top players here to bring also this awareness to your own fans and make them go to the stadiums, make them be more excited about football, about the league. So this is the time. And with the World Cup coming.
Exactly, I will say that about it. Like, not to mention the World Cup and also the business with Apple TV for the broadcasting of MLS. I think this was a breakthrough as well for this season specifically.
Yeah, I think that's really important because the road to the World Cup is starting now.
Counting down 2 years from now.
Counting down 2 years from now, exactly. And you see that even in markets, for example, like Qatar, which was a market that didn't have the connection to football as the US has, even there, the market of football has increased a lot. And you can see, for example, what they are doing right now in Saudi Arabia. Everything now is already thinking towards their World Cup, which should be many years from now yet. So in the US, these 2 years will be so relevant, I would say. And like you were saying, all this of the connection with Apple TV, etc., this is all allowing US to be spoken worldwide. So now it's the time to make things happen. And for example, myself, as a football fan, I watch MLS way more now than I watched a few years back, because you see that the work is being done. And not only these players that are players that had great careers in Europe, but now you have players where you are actually able to see them in their prime, 25, 26, 27 years old, where they still can make something amazing on the pitch. And that's great to see.
And it's amazing, although we know that it's an effort, that like they are doing their homework. How this also growth is potentially organically is something that people are like, I want to see that. I want to focus. I want to engage to the league. You see that too?
I see that. I've seen people wanting to understand more about the league, because there's one thing that also people don't understand sometimes, but when you work in the industry you see the difference, which is the system in the US and in the MLS is so different, even from scratch, because you have all these salary caps. Then you came with this designated player rule where some players could have more salary than that. So these are all things that people are interested to know. Okay, so what's happening there? So can you just go and buy a player? How can you do it? Because something, for example, interesting is that they have their own list. So if a club puts a player in your scouting list, the other clubs cannot go for them. And in Europe, this is a war, So
like
basically,
transfer, you mean?
Yes,
right?
exactly. So in Europe, this is a war, and everyone goes for the same players.
And you have a window for that.
And you have a window for that, exactly. So I would say that people are interested in knowing more about the market, knowing more about how this function, the playoffs, which is something that we don't see in Europe as well.
Americans love playoffs. It's the way they love to watch sports.
Yeah, so they are interested to know more about the specificities that you can find in the US football. So it's time to monetize on that, and the people wanting to know more.
Amazing. And you as an agent, I know that you also follow the women soccer. And do you see also the difference, and you see like the growth? Because here in the US, we have like, I could say that's equal, but sometimes the NWSL, it's even bigger than MLS when it comes to entertainment and fans that follow. And also the game is really amazing, right? So did you see also like opportunity for you as an agent in following the women's sports at the same position?
Definitely, I would say yes. It's a little bit the opposite way. So women's football was so big in the US when it was still not big in Europe, and now with the men's football is a bit the other way around. And you can see that the development of women's football here. So the games were already super competitive. You had such amazing athletes, and they were all almost amateur back in Europe. And now you can see the change. There are specialized agents only for women's football. You see more women, even, which is something that I love to see them as players, agents as well, trying to help, and even former football players that became then agents to help on the increase of women's football and the quality. If you go and see the difference between a Champions League match of women's football this last 2, 3, 4 years and how it was before, the quality increased so much. Transfer fees are starting to be paid on women football players. We had a good example now in Portugal. One of the best players of Portugal, of Benfica, Kika Nazaret, she was now bought by Barcelona. And it was such an interesting transfer already with some interesting amounts involved. So you definitely see this growth. And I think people, even in the stadiums, before no one would know if a woman's game was happening, even in the first week. But now they are on TV in Portugal, they have good commentators, people go to the stadiums, they finally are not in the secondary pitches, they are in the actual stadiums.
For real.
It is entertainment and it's good quality. So we are all happy to see it and see the stadiums full. People, we saw with the World Cup also now, people in the stadium, so it's just amazing to see.
Thank you so much. It's so exciting to listen to you from you. Just for finish our interview, what's the thing that you see here in the Soccer X today, and tomorrow you have another day that you could stand out and highlight? Like, what's the most thing that you've seen? Like, oh, this is huge. I'm happy to be part of it.
I would say that first of all, it's great to see the engagement of the US stakeholders. So we have a lot of them here from so many different areas, from fan engagement, digital media, clubs, federations. So it's so interesting to see this engagement. So for people coming from other places in the world, it's a great opportunity to actually understand what would they need from us, what can we take from them. So really synergy and network on these places is great. The panels are so good. They really chose, I would say, the best in the business. And I mean, it's been a pleasure so far, and I'm looking forward for the day tomorrow as well, because I'm excited that it could be at least as good as the first one.
Thank you so much, Guilherme. I love to interview you.
Thank you so much.